would like a copy is here. It's also available on the website. We're going to start with an update from the Civil Service Commission. I did just hear from Mr. Henderson, who is leader of that commission. And there's a little glitch, and they're trying to follow up with some details. They wanted to have a list to us this evening, but could not get a conference call done with all of the members of the commission as well as the entities they needed to speak to. And they are hoping to have that list to us behind the business meeting. So that's that. That's the update. We'll hopefully get that list very shortly, sooner rather than later. And then tonight with us is the Narberth Ambulance Corps is here to follow up on the discussion we had. They gave a great presentation last month, but there are some questions and some information they provided. So if you guys want to come up, come closer.
How you guys doing tonight?
Introduce yourselves. That would be great.
How you doing? My name is Chris Flanagan, Chief Operations.
And Al Davey, the Acting Executive Director for Narberth.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you being back.
No, it's important.
It is important. You can have a seat. It's, you know, very, sorry for being you guys. In the information you provided in your visual presentation, the information you gave that you are not a municipal service, which I appreciate you saying that up front, because people are very confused about that. And that's probably the most reason for me why we asked you to come back. Your contract is with the county and the 911 office or services, is that right? But not specifically with the borough.
So the answer would be is we don't have a written agreement with the borough, but in the same breath we are directly related to Narberth Borough. So our affiliations, although we have state affiliations, so we've been given a license to provide emergency medical services, advanced and basic life support by the Commonwealth. That is governed through a county EMS office and then facilitates directly the state. However, our local relationship is directly affiliated with Narberth Borough and Lower Merion Township and the other areas that we service as well. So there is a direct connection to some extent, but I appreciate you, Councilman, for pointing out that we are not a municipal fund or get direct, or GG, thank you, for putting out that we don't receive direct tax dollar. And sometimes there is confusion by the community. We wear uniforms, we have a very similar look to police or other things, and we do that for professional image and many reasons and identification, but we are not funded directly by the tax dollar, and that's an important thing for council to be aware of and citizens.
Right. And so that's why you come and speak to us about some funding.
No, the education component.
Well, there's both. All right, I'll give you both. I will give you both.
It's hard. We do what we do. We don't usually have to publicize. We are not somebody who they favor with, oh great, the ambulance is here. It's not always a positive. However, the need arises 6,000 times a year throughout the townships. For you guys, they're with numbers, but we're not always out there educating as to how we come to be. Everybody knows we're the township fire, the township police, with the township ambulance, but we're still a non-profit.
We put $5,000 in our budget last year to hire a public relations firm to assist with this, because we get very caught up with the very important minutia of our daily lives in the EMS world, and we need to make sure that the people of the streets that we cover truly have an understanding, and what we realize is they don't.
Right. So your file is a 501c3, so your documents are out there in the world.
Yes, and available to you.
And available to anyone who feels like Googling, so that's out there, as all 501c3s must file. The numbers you gave us in the call volume have gone down in the borough, and so that's a good thing. Maybe we're not being as dangerous as we once were in 2011.
I think you have just such nice, the turnover, your population overall is a younger population than the general Lower Merion. So as a result, higher elderly use more services.
Sure.
So if you have that turnover, it's great.
Gigi, I have copies of the letters. Any council want a fresh copy?
I have one. Thank you very much. So I'm going to cut to the chase. So I've heard from community members, and I called my own insurance company. So this is the one. People call on the sidewalk, and my neighbor calls 911 and says, Gigi's on the sidewalk. And they think that the 911 service is connected directly to you, and you guys come flying over to get me off the sidewalk, and thank you very much. And that for my 1.3 mile ride to Lankenau Hospital from my door, that's going to run me something like $1,500. And so when I say, but wait, my insurance plan, because I have good insurance, is actually supposed to cover that. This is what I've heard directly from residents and my insurance company directly. That my insurance company, a big company, will cover about $795 for that 1.3 mile over to Lankenau. And that the bill that comes to my house is about $1,500. So there's a difference. And that you then would send a bill to my home for the difference. And what's disturbing to me is when I call my insurance company, I say, hey, what's the give? What's the rub? How come they wouldn't take the $795? And they say, well, because they're not contracted. And you could call any ambulance corps in your area. You could call any private company, you call any ambulance. You don't have to call these guys, you can call anybody. And then they said to me, it's better to find out who to call before something happens that's actually covered for that $795 than to wait and get that bill for $1,500. So I said, what do you mean? And he said, yeah, it happens. That's the way of the world now. And I was pretty surprised. And I can tell you from letters and phone calls I've gotten from at least 2 members of the community, that was their experience. And their experience then, when they wanted to speak to someone about the difference in the bill, we're told that that's the bill, and if they didn't pay the difference, that there could be repercussions for not paying that bill. So I think, and I just really want you to be clear.
Sure.
And, you carry our name. And the care and protection of this community is paramount to why my tail is in this chair. So I want to understand why not $795 and why $1,500?
Okay.
So let me paint the picture that gets us to the call
Right.
first. And I'm going to let Al handle the billing. It's essential that you know that we are part of the 911 system.
Right.
So you can't shop around for an
Right.
ambulance. So that information that they gave is relation to non-emergency transport business, which is it's an important business, but it does not really represent 911 emergency service. So they're, number one, when our citizens from the borough called for ambulance service, they get the closest available 911. In particular, our station has 2 to 3 trucks on status every day of the year, 365. Doesn't matter what holiday or whatever. With that being said, you don't have a choice. You have to use the provider that's there because of expediency of service and also on status availability. And based upon your call and where you go, that basic life support has a base charge. The advanced life support has 2 charge levels. And that's how we do it. Once we complete that trip sheet, take you to whatever hospital you need a trauma center or a child has to go to the city, and that's what we'll do. If you have to be flown or a burn center, that's where we'll take you. Once that's done, we complete a detailed chart of medical expertise, all the equipment that was used to provide that level of service, because you can imagine medical equipment is very expensive. We submit all that, and it gets transmitted over to Al and his team, and I'll let him take over how a bill is generated and why we do what we do.
Okay. So you had a question before?
Yeah, quick question. You determined whether it was an emergency. You said at the very beginning, emergency versus non-emergency.
Okay.
Who makes that decision?
Well,
Okay.
the emergency from the 911 center is you have chest pain. When we talk about non-emergency, that would be is you have fractured your hip, you spend 2 weeks in Lankenau recovering, and they're going to send you to Borough rehab to finish that out. That would be a non-emergency transport that could wait or be scheduled a day or 2 in advance, and they would take you out as a basic transport to one of those facilities. If you call right now an emergency, you're getting a fully equipped ambulance that's prepared to do any emergency under the sun that you would possibly need if you call 911. That's the difference.
Okay.
You're saying, just saying, you're, other than regularly scheduled visits for things.
Correct.
How would you, as a parent, say, calling for your son?
Correct. So we'll cite her example. If she's on the ground, right? Now, we do public assists. We pick you up off the ground, we check you out, you're fine, you go back your thing, you sign a refusal. We don't charge for that. We do that. They're called PPIs. We put back in beds, we help, all that kind of stuff. Sometimes the police get somewhere, the person's been down for a while. they get them up, they seem fine, the cop leaves. However, if they find there to be some issue, then an ambulance is summoned. So if you're on the ground, and yes, your insurance company says, absolutely, I would like you to use a non-emergency service. So you could kind of preset the fact that if you go down, that a proprietary or a for-profit ambulance company, you can call them. Now, the problem here is you could wait 15, 30, 45, 2 hours until they find a crew that's available and dispatch them to get you off the ground.
Sure.
So that's the premium that 911 has, means that the ambulance that comes and picks you up off the ground is also the same one that can provide you from cardiac arrest. So there's an inherent cost of staffing and equipment. Those are the built-in costs. So if we transition that to who makes the emergency decision, we are asking laypersons to pick up the phone, dial 911, and tell them their emergency, and then they decide whether it's an ALS thing, like chest pain, shortness of breath, those kinds of things, or they determine it's a BLS. Both of those are emergency. Now, if it's, I can't get a hold of my doctor and I need someone to take me to the doctor's thing, that becomes more of a social services component. But 911 is dispatching only ALS or BLS, just with a paramedic or without.
Did you say what ALS and BLS is?
ALS is what a paramedic unit is, meaning they do IVs, intubations, monitor interpretations, advanced life support.
Okay.
Basic life support is standard 2 EMTs. Absolutely, and this is the education process I mentioned. So in that respect, the county determines the nature of the call based on their best guess, and they always, 70 out of 100%, always err on the side of sending the paramedic. Better to have it and not need it than to have needed it and not got it. So in that respect, that's where the emergent nature decides. But the idea of choosing a non-emergency ambulance, they don't staff like that. It's too expensive.
And is that just basic?
Yes, there are paramedic ambulances that do exist, and they do critical care transports from hospital to hospital. So to peel one of those off and send them somewhere is really an anomaly.
And they could be on a transport, like that transport to Borough Rehab, you could call and you will wait. If we have no calls on, let's say, Christmas Eve, one of the biggest holidays in the area, there's always an ambulance crew, an advanced life support ambulance crew sitting in our building ready to go. Sometimes municipalities have to pay for state of readiness. I'm sure that there's downtime that the police are on the road and they're not getting any call. But the reality is to deliver prompt and effective service, they need to be here in their expensive gear, ready to go. And that's exactly the same principle we manage emergency services in Narberth Borough and also Lower Merion Township. That exact model is how we do it. And then in reference to the bills, I just wanted to explain.
Okay, so now we go from why you need to go to what happens when you go. So we have fixed costs. Now, if you've ever seen, you buy a medicine at the pharmacy, you pay your copay. And then the actual cost of the medicine is the medicine negotiated by your insurance company. And then that is not the actual cost that somebody who doesn't have insurance would pay. So we are, believe me, I'm not a fan. The medical system is fractured, but our stuff is very simple. We have 2 rates, an ALS rate and a BLS rate, depending on your need. If you have fallen and you have a sore arm or your wrist is, we just wrap it and take it to the hospital. That rate is around $450. There's charges for mileage, $16 per loaded mile. There's little foot that they move it up and down. However, those costs are small. However, if you pass out, you have a chest pain, you have shortness of breath, now we're doing monitored EKG interpretation, we're doing hospital notification. We have the ability to do the first 15 minutes of an emergency room. So we're talking about 12 EKGs. We're going to send that. With that comes an inherent cost of paying a paramedic to make it an advanced life support unit. So the numbers tend to climb, 1,200, 1,300. The problem is when we actually bill that out, if they're Medicare, the contracted rate's about $600. But if we bill $600, Medicare pays us $200. So the rate does seem inflated. Then when we go to, if the call turns out to be an ALS call, that number's high, the BLS call's a little bit lower, around 400 or 500. The problem here is we're not allowed to take, by government law, partial payments. We have to go after the funds because they are basically incurred a service. We're not allowed to forgive debt. So we're actually, and believe me, we do not, the percentage of the 6,000 calls, we send less than 1% to collections. We don't tend to want to, we don't bankrupt people, we don't ruin credits for that reason. We just have to make 3 concerted efforts to collect. And sometimes that seems aggressive, but if we don't, and we let someone slide and go after somebody else, we create an unfair playing field, one that Medicare frowns upon and has cited ambulance squads for having membership programs and those kinds of things. Our membership program says when you pay, we'll offset that cost immediately. It takes care of part of that thing. So we actually reinvest your benefit in case you utilize the service. So there is benefit to our membership program. It's just the old days, it was like, look, if you're a member, we're good. We're not even contractually allowed to do that anymore. So this contracted rate versus non-contracted rate, as each person deals, we've set people up on a $20 a month plan for however long it takes. It just shows that we've done our due diligence. And so we have ways of not creating hardships, because an emergency room visit is already stressful enough. And so our billing staff, we have 3 in-house. So it's not like this company that sits on the phone. You can stop by and talk to these people. We have people who come in and they have these conversations, and I've been directly with, in those things where we set a plan that doesn't hurt the person, and yet we do the expectations of the company. So the 1,500 would have to be what's considered an ALS 2, which is the full monitoring.
Cardiac arrest, a
Yeah.
significant call where almost everything in the
Chest
truck is
pain,
thrown at it.
nitro, 12 leads, they go for like a stent, or a respiratory where we're intubating them. Those are the big, they're rare, thank God. They are rare, but they do occur. So, but the numbers tend to be skewed a little more down towards the $400 to $1,200 range. But that is significant, and Medicare pays one portion, and if there's a supplemental, they pay another. The idea of reimbursement is much harder than any medical program that I ever ran. So it is stressful. But my goal is not, Narberth's goal is not to make that difficult for any member of your town or anybody that we serve. So, do you have another one?
Yeah, so going back to Gigi's initial opening here, where people are saying they're paying these things, my insurance company has like a $100 deductible. Does that mean it's not covered? Are you not covered that? Like, I'm confused why.
It's probably your, what's nice is, for most situations, that $100 deductible, if you go to the hospital and you're discharged, then you are liable for that, because it wasn't a true, like,
Right. So
emergency.
this is like,
But if you're admitted,
it's $100.
if you're admitted, then it actually is covered.
Okay.
We'll cover it except for
So you're-
$100.
So you're saying the $1,500 is, these are.
My promise to you is there is complete transparency. I will give you our billing rates for BLS 1, BLS 2, ALS 1, and ALS 2. Those are the only things we're allowed to bill. We can't, like, we used a tourniquet, that costs $50. We used oxygen, it costs $3. We can't itemize. They said for them it was just too expensive to do all those little things. So we only have really 4 rates that we bill. So it's very clean and transparent. What becomes difficult is Medicare versus supplemental insurance versus a private payer like personal choice, Blue Cross, and those kinds of things.
The second question I had is there's a study underway in Philadelphia, or getting underway, about the BLS versus the ALS. Can you tell me about that and how something like that, if somebody wanted to, like, you know,
Sure.
the idea
No,
is to
we're
find out
watching
about
this
the
study as well.
outcomes.
Yeah, so the argument says, the city of Philadelphia is having trouble staffing, paramedics are in demand aggressively. The city is struggling because they have a huge demand as a large metropolis. However, the system is not used to its best extent. And so paramedics, while expensive, a lot of people use ERs as their primary care physicians. So as a result, not people who have colds and flus and stomach aches and those kinds of things, they're BLS patients, they're basic life. They just need the ride. Honestly, they just need a cab. But under the law, if you call 911, we have to assess you, and then if you don't have transportation to go to the hospital, we must provide it. So that's part of the problem the city is stuck in. So that BLS nature, while it is cheaper overall, works in a system where there's not an expectation of acuity, where there's high turnover, where there's 36 ambulances that service the population. And so they're constantly, they'll do 15 to 20 calls in a day. So the volume kind of makes that issue break even. However, if you have chest pain or you have an advanced thing where for a heart or a stroke, time is of the essence, and starting the advanced life support care prior to the hospital is important, the city kind of fails in that aspect. And so the argument says instead of having 10 highly acute ambulances that are overwhelmed, we'll kill them with a lot of lower skilled ambulances, and then firemen can staff those, not paramedics.
I think part of the study, the idea was that they were saying that the BLS was offering better outcomes.
Correct.
For patients.
Correct. So the pilot study says that if there's short hospital transports and they're low acuity, those patients tend to do better. That's absolutely true.
Do you implement that as a guiding principle?
So for us, there's two different expectations. One, our community tends to be a little bit older, tends to be a little bit better cared for. So they're having more medication interactions. They see physicians. They don't go for the routine stuff. So our stuff, as I said, is about 70% ALS because these patients have gone the route of the doctor. They've gone the route. And so by the time they actually need an ambulance, our population should be generating double those calls. But because of how healthy and how wealthy and how connected and educated our consumer is in Lower Merion and Narberth and Conshohocken, we tend to get them much farther down the path, and so the acuity is much higher. Whereas in the city, it's used basically as a ambulance, as we joke. But as that study pans out, it shows that call volumes over 150,000 patients, that model works. Now, in Arizona, where they have longer distances to hospitals, that becomes a problem. For us, we're kind of blessed being in the mainline health system. So the idea here is if that shows value, we have it. And we do staff, our volunteers put up an additional truck. And if the call is dispatched as BLS, which it is 3 out of 10 times, we'll dispatch that BLS ambulance first. Our goal is to meet the needs of the public. It's just we find that the numbers lead us more towards the ALS provision. Now, if that medic comes out and it's a BLS call, we bill that BLS.
Okay.
Just because the medic shows up doesn't mean it's an ALS call.
Okay.
The type of service, it's the physical service you provide.
What?
So two paramedics and an ambulance, they go to an arm fracture, you're getting billed BLS. You're not forced to use ALS. So
Unless the person
appropriately.
is completely pain and they can't even do anything, and then we'll give them narcotics. That's an ALS. So that we do have the ability. But the simple slip and falls and the pain, if they can manage without narcotics, it's a BLS call. If for some reason they cannot get through the day and we can't move them without intense pain or creating more issues, then we'll assist them with pain management. That does make it an ALS. But we have found that if you were able to minimize your pain, we keep your heart rate down, we keep your blood rate and pressure down, you actually fare better on discharge if you get out within that opening night. You haven't broken something that can't be, that doesn't need to be admitted. So there's tons of science.
If it's okay, I just want to get back to
Absolutely.
to the
We
core
went here.
questions
Yeah.
of the information we
So it's
need.
the readiness that costs.
I got it. So we're going to go to the next set of questions, which is you've made this request for funds, and what we need, and I don't know if we received it, Sean, is basic information about how many employees, the rate of pay, those kinds of things that we ask from the library, we ask from everybody,
Sure.
and just sort of put in that core information so we have an understanding of how it all works. And we'd appreciate some of that billing that you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, so we can clear it up in the community and get it out there and make sure that they're aware of how it's all working. And I appreciate your answer and taking the time to fill in all the blanks, because we get an email that says, this is what just happened to me, and we don't have all the pieces. So I really
Absolutely.
do appreciate you coming back and explaining it to us. Barb, do you have anything?
Yeah, just know, we'll do,
Marty,
if
do
there's
you have
other
anything?
people, if you get people, pass us that information,
That's what I
or
was
put us in a
thinking.
library with a bunch of people who've had interactions, and a lot of this, medicine is very difficult to comprehend at certain levels, and, you know, to be able to talk about this with authority has taken me years. But I do believe that if there are people who have your ear, my God, we're Narberth, we'll come talk to them, we'll bring it over, we have no issue.
So maybe we can put that on the calendar and have some sort of public event section.
Yeah,
We'll see what
absolutely.
we're about.
Yeah,
We're
you have-
gonna have section
You have my
requests.
email, so if you submit the list of questions, just to make sure we have them all, and we'll get them all answered.
Sure, that would
Yeah,
be
we'll
great.
show our staff, our volunteer base, we'll show our, the call volume,
Is
all
there
that stuff.
information you need to get back to finance and administration regarding?
Not
No,
above
we
and
haven't.
beyond what you have in front of you.
All right, well, if you're good with it, I'm good with it. I would like to see, I like that you gave us the call volume. If you could send the call volume for like someone of our, you know, a place that you cover, the size of Narberth, which just looks like it's West Conshohocken. Their numbers, just to be, you know, to take the look-see, just even last year.
Absolutely.
Actually, I had it, come on. In an effort of full disclosure, as we said, we're doing this for everyone else as well, all the townships. We're showing it, we're watching ambulance companies kind of struggle and fold, and we don't want those. This is the ask, they're partnering, their volume is different, 77 to 23
I see.
overall, but these are Conshohocken and West Conshohocken.
Okay.
So they mirror.
Great.
then we're asking them, just like we are for you, they're partnering up to do one, and we're asking you guys to partner up.
No, thank you.
There's just, and then also in closing, there's also several, obviously, we're on status, and as I call it, a state of readiness, a similar occurrence for the police department. They have to be there even if there isn't call volume between 3 and 4 in the morning. But the other thing is, we do respond to all accidents. Any chance of having a situation where somebody may be injured, we respond promptly, and if there is no call for service, we turn around and come back. But it is unique to our area, and it delivers a much rapider response of EMS to car accidents, which there's a lot of them. And we are proud of that. And obviously, all the standbys, such as the 4th of July,
Right.
Carnival, whatever it
Right.
may be, we
Right.
don't charge for any of those. The only thing we do is, there's so many runs in this community, we have to charge. There's 6 runs. There's 6 runs a day, which is a great thing, and it's an awesome thing, and they're all doing fundraisers. But there just aren't, we sometimes don't have enough ambulance to cover all the runs and the emergency services we do.
Agreed. Yeah. Kill my guidance council.
Thank you. And we'll make copies of this for the committee
Yeah.
when the show's
The
over.
numbers mirror, just like we've asked you. We're asking nothing different from anyone else. The idea was based on the call volume, seemed to be that fair share component.
Right.
But
Understood.
We're watching, Haverford stop being in the business, and now we're helping out those guys. We're watching ambulances around town. Plymouth has absorbed West North, and they've absorbed. So we're watching the smaller companies struggling first. And so for us, we don't want to be somebody asking you to save us. We're using this as a way to keep our levels so that the funds that we have, we can use that interest to do this stuff, as opposed to living, hand to mouth. We run an amazing
Long-term
organization.
sustainability.
Yeah, we run a great organization. We're happy to display your name
And the council and the citizens are welcome anytime, or if you do a particular budget meeting or anything, we'd love to have you guys use our boardroom just for a different venue, change it up a little bit. We'll give you a 10-minute tour. You've already seen the presentation. You can hold your meeting in our boardroom and just check it out for yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for your time, and thanks for coming
Yeah,
out
sure.
to
Yes.
us.
No,
Very
so
quickly.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Any hesitation, give me a call.
Thank
We
you.
Definitely.
Thank you very much.
All right, appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, but yeah, no, and work on those AEDs.
That's right.
We'll bring the medicine to you.
I like sunless.
Good night, guys. Thank you so much.
Good night, thank you. Barbara, with 3 minutes left, we're gonna skip to item number 4. And if anyone has questions regarding the budget, we have 3 minutes. So
Okay.
Barbara, start us off.
Okay, I wrote down 3 things. The fire department, I don't think submitted an operating budget, if I
Yeah,
remember
has
the
not.
notes. So the budget that we are looking at this point is missing something that we're going to have to add as a spend, correct?
May or may not.
Okay, I wasn't sure,
May or may not, because that does come as a request every year,
and so they might not make one.
so they may not make a
Okay.
request this year.
Didn't.
I'm in the wrong piece of paper. The,
Yeah, we don't have enough pieces of paper for this stuff, do we?
You're right, and I think, Sean, and correct me if we're wrong, I think we did have in here.
I mean, there are some things for the fire department.
Yes, there are some things for the fire department. I can't put my finger on it in this moment. We did transfer some funds that came through us to them. But no, they have not submitted that as of yet. And we'll, Finance Administration, I believe, and Mr. Metrick, at some point would have to make the call as to when that information, should it come or doesn't come, we have to move on to the next,
Do they
Right.
Do they miss their
Right.
chance to get it?
Right, exactly. So I think that's question number one.
Okay.
And we have asked them since May. And Mr. Cilio has, and Mr. Metrick has, and Mr. Muterick has. And we've asked and offered to provide assistance to them in writing it in a way that was maybe more understandable than for the organization, for our organization. And there was no response. So it has been very challenging. We hope, we want to work with them. We hope that something comes in, but at some point, there's a deadline where we have to vote on a budget, so that's
Can I
that.
ask what we're talking about that we haven't been turned in?
Their operating budget, the fire department's fire academy's operating budget. Right, that's how you described it at our last meeting, so
Yes.
that was right description. And I think that we got though a budget from the police department, that's where when I came across that note, that made me just say, oh, so did the police department submit a budget? And so that's where a lot of the numbers in the police section of the budget came from. Okay. But what it doesn't reflect is, at this point, would be if we wanted to add another officer.
Right.
It doesn't reflect that.
Right, it does not
So
reflect
that's
that.
something we'll be talking about.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, as I spoke to Mayor Grady and just a conversation saying, we would have to look, and at the last meeting, we had last month's meeting,
This budget does include adding an officer.
I thought there was another one.
Sixth officer.
Sixth. I'm
Fifth
sorry.
patrol officer plus our,
Right.
we're talking about a sixth patrol.
Yes.
Okay,
Right.
It does not have a sixth patrol.
Right, that's what I meant,
Right.
sorry, yes.
Thank you.
so, as you remember, the folks were here discussing with us some information regarding the pension plans and the policies thereof, and we were waiting for some information regarding the OPEB. I think finance administration is going to work on that and put that, and obviously, this committee should attend that meeting, and, we do have to take a serious look at the pension impact as well. We could say hiring an officer, but it really is, it's about those,
Well, you have to look at all of that.
at all the, right, all the benefits, the health, everything, the overtime, the holiday, all of those things are components that, it's not as simple as,
Right.
one person and that's.
Yeah, my question was
So
just
it's-
making sure I knew
Yes.
what was in here. just
Got
so
it.
that I, made sure that, okay, so that, is something, well, those are both things we have to talk about.
That's right.
Okay.
Any, Marlene, anything?
No, that's good.
Sean, anything? Matt, anything?
Well.
Well, so the letters we have received, if I can. Mr. Jacobs wrote Mr. Jacobs of, where is he? Ken Jacobs, a resident here in Narberth, has written an email. He wants to understand why cars that are parked on the sidewalks are not ticketed. And we also forwarded that to the mayor to have, some of his information that he's put in this email answered. And by the time he sends somebody over, sometimes the guy who's parked on the sidewalk is gone, right? So we're having that issue too. It happens on North Narberth as well, but he's saying it's specifically happening on Howard Street. So I'm willing. And this goes back to a 2015 request he made from the previous Public Safety Committee regarding the speed on that street. And you know what happens when people speed in the street, there's parking on both sides, right? Some mirrors get hit. So apparently in his household, at least his car was hit twice, the mirror was knocked off twice. And the businesses that are there double park sometimes with Dance Express, and then a little further down the road is the collision car maintenance shop, and they have no less than 7 or 8, 9 cars on the street, and so that kind of slows things down. But I was wondering if I know that your speed sign is on what, Price now?
Yes, Dudley. Do I know why? Because I walk past it.
Dudley and Price. Okay, it's on Dudley and Price.
Yes.
And when it's finished there, perhaps Public Safety could take a look at this area of Iona and maybe move one of those over there.
Actually, we have 2, and we're waiting for
Oh.
the location, so we can move that.
Well, you would make him a happy man.
What was the exact location?
The 310 Iona, 300 block.
I'll take a look at it this week.
So that's that. Thank you. And any questions? Any comments from the public? Briefly, because we're over time. Thank you so much. We are adjourned.